To all my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie, and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. He laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it. China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans because of Donald J. Trump. They don't want our soybeans. They don't want our beef. They don't want our wheat. They don't want anything we grow. As far as we're concerned, China can stick it up our ass. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them?
All of you farmers that are asking for a handout right now, I need to tell you something. You can kiss my fucking ass. You can take a whole week off and kiss it all. Because now you're sitting there saying, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. We're going to lose our family farm. 80% of the farmers in the United States that voted for Donald Trump. You asked, because of your hatred, you asked for this to happen to you. You asked for these tariffs. You still, tell me you're awesome about it. You asked for this to happen, and now you're saying, oh no, we're going to lose our farm. Please give us a handout. I thought you didn't like socialism. See, but here's the thing. You farmers, it's the big farmers mostly, you farmers, you knew damn well who was picking your crops. You knew damn well that it was immigrants that are, some of them undocumented, most of them documented. They were picking your crops. They were the ones that were doing the work for you that you couldn't do. And yet you didn't care. You were so up in arms about hating the illegals, hating the immigrants, that you didn't care that it was your people that was doing the work for you. Your slave labor was going to be taken away, or too afraid to come out and actually work on your property anymore. You didn't care. Your hatred for immigrants, your hatred for black people, your hatred for LGBTQIA people, your hatred was more important to you than keeping your fucking family farm. So you can kiss my ass and see your way out talking about you want a handout and you need some help because you didn't see this coming. You were so busy hating the libs, owning the leftists, owning the Dems, and sticking with your team that you didn't give a fuck to actually fucking think about the damage that you were doing, even though we told you. But you were so angry with us telling it, you didn't want to listen to it. So now that you're asking for a handout and for some help, like I said, you can kiss my fucking ass. You can kiss it all. It was you that decided to reelect this fucking orange shit gibbon and put him back in the fucking office, knowing that he has no fucking clue what he's doing and that he's probably doing it on purpose. But you chose this because all you care about is your white supremacy. That's all you want. So when you're asking for help, you can fucking miss us all with that bullshit, because we're all suffering because of your asses. And as always, I hope this helps.
To all of the farmers crying in my comments saying, oh, you must be a leftist libtard. Why, our farmers feed America. What are you talking about? No, I just want you to stand behind what you voted for. You think that J.D. Vance is some type of great American. In reality, he's the first person in line to take your grandpappy's distressed farm. Didn't know that? Didn't know that he invested in buying up distressed farmland? You think that's for your benefit? No, you are just now coming to terms with the fact that you've been swindled, and you want leftists and libtards and Democrats to hold the bag. You want them to be the demon. You want them to feel bad. You want them to cry and feel bad for you, even though you sat there on your stupid Instagram, on your stupid TikTok, and said, the tears taste so good, drinking the libtard tears. We don't care about you. We don't care. Okay, you wanted to watch the world burn? You think that student loans should never be forgiven because they don't do anything to benefit our country? Really? Where do you think these subsidies come from? I'll give you a hint. They're blue states. They're educated states. You stupid red states, actually, you owe half of your existence to us blue states. So no, I'm not going to sit there and cry on Facebook because the government's not coming to bail out your farm. Why do I care about your farm? You want to watch it burn? Let's watch it burn. You want to drink some tears? Let's drink some tears. Let's see how this works. But you can't have it both ways. And the person you voted for is the person screwing you over. So stop asking for sympathy from the people you've been sabotaging, you've been setting up, you've been insulting. It's the people you voted for. It's your own racist friends. Keep your freaking tears out of my comments because we don't care anymore.
Today in Trump's America, small-town farms in Arkansas are begging for welfare. They can't sell their soybeans to China. Who knew that so many farmers were making $10,000 an acre from China? Who knew? But instead of pulling up their bootstraps, they're going for welfare. They're going for subsidies. They're going for American handouts. Just mere months after saying, we don't support welfare programs, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, cut everything to these LGBTQIARSTUV people. Pull up your bootstraps, Arkansas. Sell something Americans want to buy. Talk to your man Donnie Darko about the Department of War, because hell, they might be coming to your town soon. He might be bringing the National Guard to Arkansas and you won't have any farmland left anyway. Look, folks, Donnie Darko is destroying America, and if you can't see it, it's a part of the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025. Go look it up. It's a blueprint. Donnie Darko is following it to a T.
Listen to me. Racism is the poison in Arkansas soil. That's right, racism. Last week, hundreds of Arkansas farmers stood in a room and broke down in prayer in front of their elected officials. They weren't praying for rain, guys. They weren't praying for sunshine. They weren't even praying for a bumper crop. They were praying because their farms, their family land, their way of life is collapsing under tariffs and trade wars. And here's the truth. Those tariffs, that trade war, that whole playbook was born out of racism. Farmers were told the story that punishing foreigners would make America strong again. They were told to clap when leaders wagged their finger at China, Mexico, or whoever else they decided was the villain of the week. They were told it was patriotism, but really it was racism dressed up in red, white, and blue, and farmers bought it. They cheered it. They co-signed it. And now they are the ones paying the bill. Look at soybeans. Without tariffs, U.S. beans leaving New Orleans are cheaper than Brazil. But with tariffs, suddenly Brazil is winning. And who did that? Not God, not nature, not fate. Your own leaders waving a racist flag and calling it strength. And the farmers who clapped for it are now on their knees begging for help. This isn't the first time. History is packed with proof that racism bankrupts the very people it fuels. Jim Crow didn't just brutalize black citizens. It strangled the Southern economy for generations. Segregation didn't just rob black kids of opportunity. It robbed the entire South of progress, creativity, and prosperity. The Chinese Exclusion Act of the 1880s, it cut off immigrant labor that helped build America, leaving industries starved. Japanese internment during World War II, well, that destroyed businesses, farms, and families, and the whole economy bore the cost. Every single time America lets racism drive policy, the poison spreads. It never just hits the target. It always circles back. And now here we are again. Farmers in Arkansas prayed out loud last week because they're broke. And they know it. And some of them voted for this mess. Some of them cheered when the tariffs went into place because they thought it would put others in their place. But you can't hate and expect to harvest prosperity. You cannot poison your neighbor's well without eventually drinking from it yourself. So let's call this what it is. Racism is the poison in your soil. It's why your crops can't compete. It's why your barns are empty. It's why you bowed your head in front of men in suits who don't care about you at all beyond your vote. Racism doesn't just starve the people you think are your enemies, it starves you. Arkansas, this is your wake-up call. You can pray all you want, but you have to face the truth. Nothing changes unless you do. Racism isn't strength, it's weakness. It's not power, it's poison. It's killing your farms, your family, and your future. Please wake up.
So that's what we got for American farmers, is zero empathy. We want them to fail. That's what you're saying out there. That's what Americans are saying right now is, well, next time you'll vote the right way, or that's what you get for who you voted for. That, to me, I want to say it doesn't sound very American of people, but here lately, that's all we're doing is complaining.
Okay, this is for MAGA supporting farmers, which is the most of them, the majority of them. This is not what's happening. If you pay attention to all your right-wing media, including Fox News, we on the left have been showing you empathy by trying to scream, this is happening. This is going to happen to farmers. We did it before you elected him, and we've been doing it after he was elected. I can't tell you how many videos I personally made after you elected Trump, where you are being destroyed. That's what empathy is. And it's not a lack of empathy when we just want to stay out of the way of letting the consequences of your actions take root. You're asking us as taxpayers to bail you out. We were bailing you out through U.S. aid and so many other Democratic funded programs. And we were happy to do that. We want those back. I don't see one MAGA supporter demanding that U.S. aid be funded again, because that's what kept a lot of you guys afloat. We on the left have been screaming for that. But if you want to talk about a lack of empathy, it's not going over our heads that you had no empathy whatsoever for our LGBTQ community and what was going to happen to them if you won your election. You had no empathy for transgender people, and those include kids with families who love themselves, each other, families, tight families, going through a hardship like you guys are as farmers. You didn't show empathy for them. You didn't show empathy for women who are being pushed now into this purity culture and this Charlie Kirk warped vision of making us just baby-making machines. You showed no empathy for brown-skinned people trying to earn a living, being thrown to the ground and beat up and kept in for-profit prisons that are benefiting Republican donors. You showed no empathy for any of them. But you're going to come on here in your high fucking horse and tell us we're the ones that don't show empathy. I want you to show one right-wing news source or content creators, Charlie Kirk, any of them, that have been talking the way we have about how farmers are being impacted by the Trump administration. Find one, and I will stand corrected. You're going to find nothing but those of us, the libtards, who've been fighting for your asses.
Some of y'all being way too nice to them farmers for me. Fuck them farmers. Fuck them farmers.
Jacob, how could you say that?
Those motherfuckers sitting up here talking about, this farm's been in my family for generations. It's all we've ever known. How many generations, sport? Far enough to go back to the early 1900s? Your grandpa's generation? Where you were exploiting poor, desperate people as sharecroppers? Where you were exploiting people to work those fucking fields for your fucking grandfather? That far back? To your great-great-grandfather? Back to the 1800s? Did your family put Africans in fucking chains and rape and murder them? How about your great-great-grandpappy? Does it go back to the 1700s? it go far enough back that your ancestors were murdering and pillaging and displacing Native Americans? Does it go far enough back to the 1600s? Were your ancestors on them boats that showed up in the Caribbean and raped and murdered and pillaged the fucking Taino population? Does it go far enough back that you could show up to the coast of Central America in the Yucatan where they were growing sweet potatoes and yucca? How fucking long have you been using your family's money, power, and influence to shit on anyone who isn't you? How far back? Because you want me to be concerned about you while you poison our fucking water with herbicides and pesticides, while you destroy our fucking soil with fucking tractors and combines, while you fucking destroy our fucking ecosystems by fucking erasing natural habitat for our fucking native animals and native plant species. Because you are still doing the exact same thing that your fucking forefathers did. You are still shitting on anyone and everything you can around you in the fucking pursuit of more and more and more fucking wealth. So again, I say fuck those farmers. Fuck those farmers, fuck their farms, fuck their history, fuck their existence, and fuck their future. Congrats, bud. You fucking played yourself. Now you're in a fucking muck with the rest of us, you stupid fuck.
I'm out here in the farm fields of Illinois. This is a bean field that just turned brown in mid-September. And there's a lot of concern over where the product that these farmers in Illinois have raised is going to be going and what kind of price they'll get for the crops they've raised. I grew up in this area. I went to Little Cayman High School. It's about 2 miles north of here. And I went to school with all the farm kids, and I even grew up in eastern Pennsylvania and went to school with Amish and Mennonite kids in Lancaster County. And growing up, I had an uncle who ran a farm in upstate New York. So I have some history with an empathy for farmers, because I watch how hard they work to get this crop on the ground, and its timing and the rains in spring, whether they come or not. One year it was too wet, the next year it's too dry. It's tough being a farmer. But what's even tougher is growing all this crops and having all the equipment and debt you need to be a farmer, and then be cast aside by things like tariffs. And that's what's so confusing to me. The people out here in farm country, a lot of them have Trump signs in their lawns. There's a huge one up the road here. When I'm cycling over the summer, I see them all over the place. Probably see 10 to 20 in a 40-mile ride. And that indicates to us that farmers are big into Republican values. And that's the other side of the coin here. You know, what is the ideology driving people to want to be Republican? Well, over the centuries, you know, that we've had farming here in the United States, there's been a lot of deception by conservatives. You know, the Dust Bowl came about because people were told to go on out, God will help you, and rain will follow the plow. And that was a lie. And what we wound up with is agricultural conditions that basically turned the entire Great Plains to dust. And there's sort of a similar thing going on in Illinois in many states, because soils are not in a great condition here either. And there's this sort of been this profit-oriented idea that it's your job to go and grind up the soil and get what you can out of it, get the best price for it, and we'll take care of the rest. You know, it's that classic sort of go, go, go ideology that people pride themselves on in America. But, you know, sustainability is a real problem. That's true in terms of economic markets, where a lot of crops from the United States are sold to other countries, for example, China. And now we've imposed tariffs on China, and guess who winds up paying the price? it's Illinois and Iowa and Wisconsin and Missouri and Nebraska and all these farmers that, work their lives trying to sustain their crop output every year. And Trump doesn't care about those people, but what he does do, and this is sort of his method, he has never had a good grasp of forecasting policy. He bankrupted casinos, for instance, right? And many, many of his businesses failed, and those that did sort of succeed were dependent on creative bookkeeping. The guy is not a good planner. He could never be a good farmer. He sucks at everything he does. But somehow he came up with this, let's do something about our markets idea with tariffs, and they've never been proven to work. And right now, something like 86 to 90% of the tariffs are being absorbed not by foreign companies, but by Americans paying higher product prices. And the farmers are the ones that get kicked right in the nuts. And what does Trump do? He uses taxpayer money to pay them off for the fuck-ups that he did. And that's the sick aspect of it. And all these guys with Trump signs out here, they're happy to ask for handouts now when many of them apparently don't like, the idea that immigration people come here and, they're using our tax dollars. Blame immigrants for everything. Well, guess what? A lot of our farm production, especially things like fruits and vegetables and everything, are reliant on immigrant workers. And so Trump is so fucking dumb about what really happens here on the earth that he's screwing everybody over. And these farmers out here, you sort of have to have empathy for them because they've been lied to. They've been deceived. And we need small farmers as well as big farmers. But during Trump's first term, when he first messed up with farm markets, Sonny Perdue, his Secretary of Agriculture, said to American farmers, tough luck, go big or go away. And so corporatized farmers, farming, and the seed crops owned by giant firms like Bayer and Monsanto and all of that are taking over. And if we don't have any local control over how food's produced, we're at the mercy of all of that, the corporatization of America and the oligarchy. And if you don't connect these dots and see that people out here are being deceived, and these are the same people basically voting for Trump, then you don't get it. Where will these crops go? We really don't know. They may rot in the bins, in the dryers, everything.
And on the next episode of Fuck Around and Find Out, MAGA edition, child, tell me why they just found out that the video I just posted the other day was indeed accurate. That them folks that be pouring all that hate into y'all heart and telling y'all to hate black folks and people of color, they using y'all for a spiritual ritual. Let's go ahead and get into it. So turns out, they figured out. Remember what happened in Arkansas? Girl, remember we talked about how them people in Arkansas was crying because it's 7 generations of farming and that's their generational wealth and they about to lose their farms and they going bankrupt and that the subsidiaries was available to them. The money was available to bail them out. Should anything happen to their farms as far as like inclement weather, whatever the case may be, the money is there. They told them the money is there, but they can't spend it until 2026. And even then, there ain't enough for everybody. Well, it turns out they didn't found out the reason why that the money was pushed back to 2026 and it was included in the big, beautiful bill that they voted for, is because J.D. Vance, the Waltons, and another $1 trillion company all did that. Yup. They sure did. They also all own they also have stake in a company. I think it's called like Acre something, right? Where when your farm goes into bankruptcy, right? And the bank take your farm, they come and buy your shit for pennies on a dollar. Then they hire you back to work it. They say, well, you can stay on the farm and you can earn the farm back if you work such and such amount of years or do such and such amount of work on the farm because you already own it. And they came and swiped it from right underneath you. In all fairness, we told you. We told you they would do that to you. We screamed it from the mountaintops. We pointed it out to you. We aligned it with historical data. The Great Depression. They did that shit throughout the entire Great Depression and Prohibition era. They also did it during the Civil Rights Movement. They also did it during the Revolutionary War. We told you this would happen. Again. And y'all, baby, Pluto is in Aquarius. And y'all always fucking y'all up real bad. Y'all done put yourselves into another 4-year cycle. That's what they did. They convinced you to self-sacrifice yourself for the next 4 to 7 years. Because even after he gets out of office, you still have to play catch-up. That's a 7-year cycle. You allowed your hate to drive you to the gates of hell. And in return, they got all your wealth. Gave it all up willingly because you hate people of color that much. You self-sacrificed your generational wealth that was already stolen to begin with, right? Self-sacrificed it. Gave it all up. Your generational wealth, your baby's nest egg, generational wealth, gave it all up to them folk. J.D. Vance, the Walton family. Who's the Walton family? The ones who own Walmart. That family. They don't even need it. They was just trying to erase Bill Gates. Bill Gates is also doing the exact same thing. We tried to tell y'all. And MAGA has allowed the hate that they have in their heart to not only swipe their generational wealth, that was stolen, by the way, right from up underneath themselves, but every generation that comes back after them, baby, it ain't gonna be no 7th generation of farmers. Ain't gonna be it. They're gonna make that y'all go into bankruptcy because they want your land. And then they're not going to get Mexicans or people of color to farm it. Oh no, they're going to get you to because you're familiar with it. And when you refuse to, they're just going to go find some Mexicans, change the law, find some people that they kicked out, put them on the farm and pay them what they would have paid you. They're not even going to pay them what they used to get paid. They're going to pay them what they paid you. They're going to give them medical benefits and all types of shit to make sure them people stay and they don't leave. They'll even offer them citizenship. Want to know how I know? How do you think they got here in grandeur to begin with? Post-Alamo. Clock it. Clock it. Y'all walk right into that shit. Oh my God. When I tell you the ancestors don't miss, baby, they don't miss. When I tell you karma is on her shit, my girl ain't missing a beat. And that's the thing. This is how you know you working with the devil. Because you will always lose working with the devil. In the beginning, it'll feel like you've won. In the end, you'll lose way more than what you had prior to when you worked with him. And you know you're working with the devil because he'll always give you a choice in the same exact way that God gives you a choice. He'll always give you a choice. He will always look for your consent. That way you can never turn back and say, he tricked me. No, he didn't. He gave you everything he was going to do to you in a thick packet called Project 2025, which included a subsection called the Big Beautiful Bill. And all you had to do was read. You shot yourself in the foot the first time with Project 2025. Then you supported the Big Beautiful Bill. They fucked you over with the tariffs increase the prices on the raw materials that it would take for you to continue to do what you needed to do. You were already suffering, and they fucked you over with the tariffs. Then they sent the people that was helping you, the hands that were helping you, for a fraction of what they should have been paid. They sent them home. Fucked you over again. Then they did the big beautiful bill and stole your shit right from up underneath you. Oh my God. Sorry to them families, but this is what you voted for. It's what you asked him for. He gave you exactly what you said. I want them folks of color gone. And he said, absolutely. And everything else that they touched, everything that they contributed is going with them. Yeah. He gave you what you asked for. You just didn't read the fine print. My God, today we tried to tell you.